my name is Natasha Hamilton, and today I'm going to talk to you about something I myself am very passionate about. When we think of scary situations, we don't tend to worry too much, thinking the system will save me. But what would happen if the system didn't save you from something like sexual assault? Unfortunately, the system hasn't been saving countless of men and women everywhere from being sexually assaulted on college campuses. I recently heard a statistic while watching the documentary The Hunting Ground. It roughly stated that Stanford University, a prestigious school, had over 200 reported sexual assaults, and yet only one of those resulted in expulsion. Now, while this individual was expelled, many are not. Many are simply suspended. Universities won't go as far as to expel the student. The individuals who committed these horrific acts were not only invited back on campus, but back on football fields and back on basketball courts. The disgusting thing isn't what happened to these rape victims, because horrible things happen to people every day. We become somewhat immune to it until the situation involves us. The most disgusting part is that little to nothing is done in response to these reports. We need to not only encourage these victims who are continually being shut down and told to stay quiet, that it's important to speak up. We also need to take a stand and encourage others to do as well, in the hopes that the system will change. This needs to stop because it not only affects how these individuals perform in school, but how they live their lives and cope afterwards, but it also encourages this behavior to continuously happen. Ignoring it has the same effect as encouraging it. Now, I know all I am is a bunch of words, a bunch of we need to do this and we need to do that, and it's hard to really understand the severity of the situation when I'm simply a person standing here telling you how horrible something is. I know for me personally, I feel more emotion and understand better when I'm seeing. So I want to draw your attention to the screen here. I created a slideshow of statistics drawn from the documentary The Hunting Ground, directed by Kirby Dick. Okay, do you see it?
Mm-hmm.
Harvard University, in the years 2009 to 2013, had 135 reported sexual assaults and only 10 reported suspensions. University of California, Berkeley had 78 sexual assault reports and only 3 expulsions. Dartmouth College had 155 sexual assaults and only 3 expulsions. Stanford University had 259 sexual assaults and only 1 expulsion. University of North Carolina had 136 sexual assaults and 0 expulsions. University of Virginia had 205 sexual assaults and 0 expulsions. And the same university that had 0 expulsions had 183 expulsions for cheating and other honor board violations. I hope you're feeling exactly how I did the first time I saw these numbers: upset, disgusted, and maybe angry, because these emotions spark change, and change needs to come. First off, sexual assault on campuses with no immediate action can affect how victims perform in school. Oftentimes, the reason so many cases aren't resulting in expulsion or action of any kind is because the rapist tends to be a successful athlete, a highly educated individual with a promising career, or a privileged child from a wealthy family, or maybe just a mixture of the three. What universities lack to account for is the effect it has on the victim. Because the perpetrator is thrown back into the campus life following these incidents, it can be difficult or near impossible to perform well in class. In an article titled "The Effects of Sexual Assault and Rape" by Joyful Heart Foundation, one of the effects they acknowledged following a sexual assault is dissociation. This refers to a person feeling checked out. They highlight that many individuals find themselves daydreaming or not completely present. This impacts a student in class more than anything else. Once a student finds himself paying less and less attention in class, they also find their grades falling further and further behind. It's not hard to see how a rape victim can find it difficult to memorize muscle functions, especially when their perpetrator could be in a class right down the hall from them. Not only does an experience of sexual assault affect how an individual performs in school, but also how they cope and live their life afterwards. Not only is this person dealing with dissociation, but depression as well. The article "Sexual Assault on Campuses" by the National Institute of Justice did a great job of highlighting the effects of a sexual assault incident. This includes of course, the immediate trauma, but also sexually transmitted diseases, pregnancy, depression, anxiety, and post-traumatic stress disorder. These things follow the victims everywhere. Something as simple as paying for groceries becomes a situation of evaluating people's character, and things that come naturally, like developing new relationships, become near impossible. The same article acknowledges that only a small percentage of victims seek help afterwards, leading to 3 out of 10 people developing PTSD over their lifetime. This directly connects to universities not expelling perpetrators or questioning the victim's credibility. What these victims simply need to hear is, "I believe you," or "We're going to do something about this." While sexual assault directly affects the victim in ways we cannot imagine, it also affects the school and no, not in ways we would hope. Instead, the lack of action taken promotes this action to continue. I read an article recently from the Wall Street Journal titled "Reports of Sexual Assault Rising Sharply in College Campuses," and it stated reports of sex crimes increased by nearly 1,000 from 2012 to 2013 alone. If we had a system that correctly took action against these crimes, the numbers wouldn't be increasing but decreasing. Perpetrators are seeking more opportunities to sexually assault peers on campus and with different forms of coercion like alcohol and violence. They are also seeing how easy it really is to get away with it. This reverts us back to a childlike stage in which we continually do something until we get caught and punished for it. If no one is being punished and then nothing is stopping them. And if nothing is being done, the numbers will continue to increase. The film I mentioned previously followed two girls, both victims of sexual assault. They are both very vocal about their stance on the subject and the extremes they are willing to take against it. And this is exactly what every one of us should be doing. Victims or not, something needs to be done. Being silent until it happens to you or directly affects you and your life doesn't help the situation of countless others across the U.S. Simply standing with victims, just like the two featured in the film, is enough to spark the change we need to see in the world. We cannot continue to let victims' educational and personal lives be affected, as well as allowing the increase of more sexual assault cases. Like I said before, ignoring it has the same effect of encouraging it.